How we doing, everyone? And welcome back to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Happy Saturday to all. Got my guy Idris back from Jamaica, right?
Jamaica, Montego Bay.
Nice.
Huh? It was great. It was great.
Yeah, and I think it spared Brett a little mercy. You roast him on another, start bench cut. We don't want to beat him down that early in the season. Have him feeling like Joey Gallo. We gotta kind of go easy on this guy. I am not in Montego Bay, nor any island, but it is 5 o'clock somewhere, and I am on vacation.
That's right. Ain't nothing like a Corona.
Yeah, dog. Yeah. On our last show, we did talk about some NFL hot takes. And we're going to continue on some of that. Idris and I are definitely going to hit on some of the hot takes that we see for the NFL season. We're also going to speak on the very intense series that is currently going on, Game 3 of this series, to start in roughly an hour between the Houston Astros and our New York Yankees. Lightning staying alive. And we got some new music we want to speak on too, but we're going to start with continuing to roll out some of our hot takes. With the NFL season approaching rather quickly, it's getting about that time where we could actually get away with talking about this stuff. So I'm going to start it right here with the one that I feel is pertinent to our team. A lot of shakeup in New York over the offseason. Joe Judge out, Dave Gettleman out, Brian Dable in, Mike Kafka in as the OC. Joe Shane is upstairs now. We kind of took everything from Buffalo with the exception of the VCR and Josh Allen. But this is my hot take. I do believe that Daniel Jones, finally with a modern offense, is going to arrive. I think now by no means am I saying the Giants are winning 11 and 12 games, but I do think this is going to be the season where they can honestly say, wait a minute, he could be our guy. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you because we've seen flashes with what he's had, and considering we've been so injury riddled, Saquon and our receivers and the offensive line, and still with all of that, we've seen flashes of what he could do if the settings are right.
Absolutely.
I think the first 2 games he started when he took over for Eli, we saw what he had. He won those first 2 games and he looked real good. That was with a healthy squad. So I think with Dable and Kafka's a good OC. I think, and with a healthy squad, I think we're going to see what we got. And I think he knows this is it for him. This is my contract. This is my livelihood. I gotta go. Yeah, I'm hyped.
Similar to the Aaron Judge situation in New York, I feel that the Giants are daring him to bet on himself, and I do think the Giants would more than be happy to pay him more than what they would have paid him had they upped the final year of the rookie deal. But I think there's a responsibility on both sides. I think the Giants know that they did not set him up with a functional situation, having 4 offensive coordinators going into this all-important year 4, and also on his 3rd head coach. I do believe that the Giants brass realizes that part. And on Jones's part, his responsibility is that he has to mentally get past all of the outside noise. And I do believe that we're going to find out. We're either going to be wrong or we're going to be right, but there will be an answer, and the answer is going to be revealed about 5 months from now. We're going to know, but the season is coming, man. It is close. Another quarterback. I do believe that Lamar Jackson will finally be considered a true passer. He has relied on his legs a lot, not always because of the fact that that's the way he wanted to do things. I do tend to believe that a lot of it had to do with the just the makeup of the team. Lamar did lose Hollywood Brown. This is something that Brett and I kind of disagreed on the other night. And Brett was very adamant that he thinks Lamar's going to have a hard time. I, for one, think that sometimes when you move away predictable players, I think that just because they're unknown or not as known doesn't mean they can't play. And with the security blanket in Mark Andrews, and with a returning J.K. Dobbins and other guys that could contribute, I think this is the kind of team that could potentially have two guys rushing close to, if not more than 1,000 yards, because even though Lamar, I do believe, is going to enhance his passing game, he could still get out there. I'm not saying Lamar's going to crack 1,000 again. I don't necessarily know if that's best for his body, but I do believe that the Baltimore Ravens, in addition to winning that division this year, I do like what they did on defense. I think Lamar's going to arrive where some of the noise about him not being a true passer and just kind of being like a gadget / enhanced version of a Cordell Stewart or a Mike Vick, I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong this year.
I agree.
Wow, 2 for 2.
How we
2 for 2. I love what they did on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of times, offense is more sexy, and people always think about that side of the ball. I, for one, think that the Bengals aren't as good as everybody else thinks they are. Now, granted, nothing to take away from their AFC Championship last year, but I basically told Brett on the last show that was my bigger hot take, that the Bengals would miss the playoffs, not because they're a bad team, but because the AFC is loaded. Once again, that'll be revealed. Hot take number 3. Sean Payton will hold out until the Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy. This could be a little bit of a stretch, but he does have ties to that organization underneath the great Bill Parcells. He also has ties to our organization with Jim Fossil. Rest in peace, Jim Fossil. I think this is like a 50-50. This might be one of the ones that you roll the dice and you see, but I tend to believe that Jerry Jones and the Cowboy brass is not pleased with Mike McCarthy, given the talent they have on that roster. And, I think that people are starting to see that possibly McCarthy could be overrated because of the fact that in Green Bay he had Rodgers as well as Favre. It's hard to look bad when you got great quarterbacks like that. I mean, even Ben McAdoosh looked pretty good because he was over there. And we saw what kind of head coach he was. What do you think?
I tend to agree with you. I think with that's going to be a hard fit in Dallas for Payton. For Payton, because we know how headstrong he is. He wants things his way. We know how Jerry Jones is. He wants things his way. Jerry will have to give up a lot of power to let Payton come in. As for Mike McCarthy, I feel the same way. I don't think they're satisfied with him. And I always felt he was an overrated coach. When he came from Green Bay, I tried to explain to Dallas fans, I said, McCarthy likes to throw the ball. No matter who he has at running back, he's going to throw the ball. Blah, 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 blah. I said, he's going to draft receivers, and that's what he did. I said, I think he benefited from having Favre and Donald Driver and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Yeah. He had cerebral quarterbacks and receivers that were on, and Jordy Nelson, that were one in with the quarterback.
And they also were damn good at running the route tree.
Right.
Donald Driver, while he might have not been the most athletic, he was so damn good at running the route tree.
Right, exactly. And be where the ball is supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. Because he was where it was supposed to be when C-Webb intercepted that ball. That was not on Donald Driver. Driver was looking like, you got to be kidding.
You got to be right.
Driver was like, God damn, I hope this dude Tynes keeps shanking him, because that was, we know how that game played out. That was.
Oh yeah. Oh,
One
yeah.
of the coldest games I ever seen in my life.
Exactly.
So I would say that you're not all the way on board with me. You make a good point. There's a lot of Steinbrenner in Jones, but
Yeah.
Steinbrenner eventually took a step back because winning was more important than ego. So I'm not saying Jerry has the capability of adapting, or maybe not even so much adapting, just getting out of the way, like George eventually did with the Yankees. But, you know, it remains to be seen. I mean, at the end of the day, that is Jerry's idol, so maybe he'll follow that path. I hope he continues to be that maniacal, power-tripping narcissist, because the Cowboys will not win the whole thing until he changes. I have former league MVP Matt Ryan coming off some really tough years in Atlanta to have a resurgence. I like Indy's O-line. I really like Jonathan Taylor emerging as potentially the best back in the NFL. Their defense is quietly ascending. My friend Ryan Wags was on a show about a month and a half ago or so, and he hit on how he feels that the Colts defense historically, whenever they're good, always gets overshadowed by whoever is on offense, whether it be Luck, Peyton Manning, now Matt Ryan. It's been a revolving door at quarterback for this organization. They've had Phillip Rivers. They gave Carson Wentz a chance, who shit the bed in Jacksonville in a game that they had to win to make the playoffs. Before that, Jacoby Brissett even had an opportunity, Phillip Rivers. I think they potentially have their guy, because while Ryan will never be that MVP guy again, I think with the roster they're providing him, he doesn't have to be. He has to be smart, which he is.
Right.
That's my take on that. I think he's going to have a resurgence. I don't know if he'll quite creep into the top 10 in fantasy quarterbacks, but I definitely think people are going to be like, oh, wow, Matt Ryan still got something left.
Well, it must be the red we have on that we're agreeing on everything. I don't know. And everyone, it was just coincidental. He wore red and I wore red.
Yeah, we didn't plan this out at all. I didn't know I was doing a show
we didn't plan this out at all.
30 minutes before I told everybody I was. Brett had a bad issue with his audio towards the end of our show, and I don't think either one of us caught it. I think we were kind of cross-talking, something that we normally don't do. And I said, it was a good show, but I said, I want to make sure I cleanse myself of anything that looks mediocre. So we're here today.
With Ryan. Yeah. With Ryan, I agree. Resurgence. He's a smart quarterback. He wasn't a bad quarterback in Atlanta. Bad breaks. I mean, the defense couldn't. I mean, he would get leads. The defense would give it up. Bad play calling. But he has everything on offense he needs, and he has a offensive coach. I mean, I think they're going to show their ass this year. I think they're going to push.
And I will say this: I also think that he's petrified of getting injured or stinking up the joint, because they also brought in former Super Bowl MVP. This is weird. You got a league MVP and a Super Bowl MVP on the same squad. You don't see that all the time. And Nick Foles is far removed from people believing he could be a week-to-week starter, but he does have that intangible of winning against really good quarterbacks. At minimum, I think you're looking at a situation where Foles is content with his role, and you have two very intelligent guys in the film room. And I do believe that they will help each other. And in the event that Ryan should go down for any amount of games, I think they have a viable option to back him up.
Foles is a good reliever.
Oh, yeah.
Real good reliever.
Oh, yeah.
Real good reliever.
Baseball analogy, but the same result. No question, dude. I like the way you put that. I really do. This could be a stretch, too, because there are a lot of miles on this guy. But I think he's going to have one last season of greatness before he does the typical thing that running backs do and just gradually slow down. Running backs is the shortest life expectancy of offensive players. I do believe that King Henry will take back his throne. No knock on Jonathan Taylor. I think Taylor's going to be right there with him. And, you got other young backs around the league that are starting to ascend, a guy like a Najee Harris. There's other backs in the league that are coming up, but he's still the dude until somebody really takes it. And him finally getting injured and missing time, I don't think necessarily, takes him down a peg off of being that dude. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's excellent. It's going to be a really fun thing to watch that they're both in the same division. They play each other twice a year.
Yeah.
If you like running backs, that's like must-see TV right there.
Yeah, I think I think he got a couple of years left on him. I think if Malik Willis can get in there, another quarterback who can run around, I think that'll take a little load off of him. But yeah, running backs they have a short lifespan, and Henry is a bruiser. He's coming at you, And you look at the history, Earl Campbell, guys like that, they would run you down, but
same organization too.
Exactly. Right?
People forget. The Oilers.
Tennessee used to be the Oilers, yeah. But after a while, you saw where all that wear and tear, them running over you and getting hit, Yeah, I see another 2 years left in him. Hopefully he can go longer. I like to see him keep playing,
Yeah, when you see guys like that are generational and they're different. Like I myself, and I'm not going to say that Brandon Jacobs is the same caliber of Earl Campbell or a Derrick Henry. He's not, but in his own way, he stood out because he could have been potentially, but I myself was kind of sad when he was winding down because I knew that in Giants lore, they never had a running back with that kind of skill set. Ron Dane could have been that dude, but he just never was that dude. Brandon Jacobs was that dude. And, he was also an emotional leader on offense, similar to how Tuck was on defense. These are your takes, so I want you to kind of introduce these, and then I'll kind of jump in on them with you.
Baker Mayfield. I've never been a fan of him going back to Oklahoma,
but
I kind of feel bad for him. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him now because the way they did him. I mean, the way they did him. I mean, not a knock on Deshaun Watson, but I mean, you just basically kissed another girl in front of him. Like dang. But I think he'll end up. It's Carolina or Seattle. I'm kind of leaning towards Seattle because Geno Smith is doing a lot of talking, and what's that guy that came out of Missouri? That's Drew Lock. He's quiet, but he just hasn't proven anything. When he was in Denver, he didn't prove anything.
He ain't that guy.
And with Geno Smith, I see him like a Foles, where he's a good backup because he gets rattled, and if things don't go his way, he pouts, just like he did at the draft, just like he did with the Jets. He pouts. Even with the Giants for the short period, he pouts because he played that one game and he looked horrible.
Yeah.
And I think they need a quarterback. As much as I don't like Baker Mayfield, he's better than both of those guys.
Oh yeah.
It's just his attitude. I see him. I'm gonna go Seattle, but Carolina. I'm going to go with Seattle. I think he'll eventually go to Seattle. I don't know about this year because Deshaun Watson, I'll let you close that part out.
Well, while I don't think he's necessarily the guy that you put the franchise on his back, I do think that he got a raw deal in Cleveland for a lot of reasons. And yes, he did help contribute to that too, because we were talking about pouting. Mm-hmm. Baker has done his fair share of pouting too. But the one intangible that I got to give him credit for is that Baker was taking quite a few beatings. And he's a tough kid. I will give him that. And it's not easy when you have a personality like an Odell Beckham Jr. constantly screaming on you because maybe the game plan doesn't feature him.
Right.
Things ultimately worked out for Odell. going to an offense that could emphasize what he does great. Just 2 short years ago, Baker Mayfield was a couple of plays away from taking the Cleveland Browns to an AFC title game. Chad Henne came in for an injured Patrick Mahomes and made a key first down, but they were very close to losing to Cleveland. And a year later, just a ton of injuries. And Baker was playing hurt week in, week out. And I think there's something to be said about that when you look for what a leader is supposed to be. Deshaun Watson is a phenomenal football player. Prior to his legal issues, he had an excellent 2020 on a very bad football team. But when you look at the financial commitment that Cleveland made to him, it's truly baffling. And if you're going to do that, why would you do that while the other guy is still on the roster? You burn 2 bridges.
Still on the roster. Right.
I tend to think that I'm going to disagree with you just for the sake of being a little different. I'd say that he'll go to Carolina because at least in Carolina, he has that dynamic running back, if that dynamic running back can ever get healthy, in Christian McCaffrey. But he will be moved. I think that's one thing that we both agree on. Seattle does offer at least weapons. But then again, who knows what Seattle's thinking? Maybe they want to move on from those young kids and kind of spark a rebuild, particularly DK Metcalf. I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of this. It's just a weird situation because normally when teams bring in the new guy, they don't have the other guy still there unless it's through the draft, not through free agency. You don't see that very often. That's just all kinds of different. But they're the Browns for a reason.
Exactly.
Keeping it in that division, there ain't much to see here. But, Brett, after one of our shows made a dual bet with Idris and myself that Eli Apple is going to the Pro Bowl. The only place that he's going is the toilet bowl. I predict that he'll be out of the league in 2 years. This is actually your topic, and I'm over here hijacking it. But
no, go right ahead.
That's all I got on Eli Apple. And he helped the Rams. Eli Apple, Super Bowl MVP for the Rams. Playing flag football defense against Cooper Kupp.
You could have finished that segment because you ain't nothing but saying what I was going to say anyway. I gave him 3 years to be out of the league. The guy, since he came in the league, the guy has great speed. He can catch you. The problem is when he holds a lot and he has to catch you. That's the thing. And that space between that he has to catch you, the ball is already in the air. He has to close, but by then you got 20 yards on him.
I think part of the reason. Go ahead.
Yeah. I would say Eli Apple is who he is. In the words of Denny Green, they are who we thought they were. Mm-hmm. Eli Apple is Eli Apple.
And
don't expect anything more.
The thing is, I think that if you have the right kind of safety, a guy who can play center field, I think that sometimes Apple's weaknesses could be kind of masked. But the reality is that the Giants made a terrible mistake making him a top 10 pick. And in addition to that, he made an impact in Cincinnati in certain games. I'm not going to completely shit on last season. But the reality is that if the Bengals want to take that next step, they need to have a better answer than that guy. And right now he's still there. So, that's where we stand on that one. One of your takes here, right on this one, man. What do you think?
I think he'll play this year. And like I said, it goes back to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry plays and the team looks good. Willis may not see the field for a while. I think he'll eventually see the field. But Derrick Henry doesn't look good. Tennessee doesn't look good. And with Tennessee don't look good, all hell goes to the quarterback, Tannenhills. Mm-hmm. And I'm just, a few miles from Tennessee, and a lot of people are not happy with Tannenhills. And
he handed them that game last year, the Bengals. He handed that game away. Yeah.
He gave it to him. He gave it to him. And he gave it to him. And he's been there a couple of years now. He's had the team around him. He has good defense. He has a good coach. He has a good offense, and you're still not getting it done. You're still not getting it done. So
yeah.
And I think with Willis, you bring another dynamic. He's not the most accurate passer. He went against inferior competition, but you got Derrick Henry back there.
Yeah.
So.
And you have an emerging tight end in Anthony Fursker, who I do think over time can approach the top 10 in tight ends. I don't know if he'll ever quite crack the top 5, but they do have the kind of offense that can protect a young quarterback searching for confidence and just searching for enhancing his game. In that regard, I do believe that Malik Willis will have time to blossom, and who knows, maybe one day be a superstar. Because the kid has the drive and the work ethic and definitely the right attitude. As far as Tannehill goes, I have a feeling it's a 50-50 kind of feeling that the Tennessee Titans might sacrifice the playoffs towards the end of the year if it means getting Willis right. Similar to what the Giants did with Eli, similar to what the Dolphins did with Tua when they chose him over Fitzmagic. So, yeah, it kind of remains to be seen. And then there's always that possibility that Ryan Tannenhill can play well like he did a couple of years ago and just hold off the kid for at least another year, similar to what Jimmy G did with Trey Lance. So there's a lot of variables on how it will go. But I tend to agree with you. What week do you have this kid finally getting in?
5.
I'm going to go a little later than that. I'm going to shoot for the last month, last 5-6 weeks of the year maybe. But it really depends on Tannehill. I think Tannehill is the X factor in how soon this kid gets in there. And also the team in general. If the team is playing below their expectations, they might try to justify demoting Tannehill sooner.
I agree.
This is you all day. I see you all the time on social media talking about these clowns. Sorry, Elliot.
Eat on this one. Nah, don't be. Nah. All jokes aside, because everyone knows Stephen A. Smith doesn't have me on hating the Cowboys. But all jokes aside, they take a step back this year. Like I said, Mike McCarthy, I'm not sold on him. Never been sold on him. They use the excuse that Dak wasn't fully healthy last year. I'm not going for that because when he played well, they said, yeah, Dak is back. When he played pitiful, they said he's still hurt. Zeke hasn't been Zeke in I don't know how many years. They got Pollard. Pollard's going to ball, but they lost the receiver, Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
They lost a kid on defense. Randy Gregory, I think it was.
That poor bastard Cooper is going to have Jacoby Brissett throwing him the ball.
Yeah, I think they both lost.
Oh, man. That sucks for him, too, because he went there with the notion that it was going to be Watson.
Yeah, I think they'll still have a winning record, but I think they take a step back this year. And McCarthy, if the team doesn't make the playoffs this year, I think he's gone. I think he's out of there. But then again, we know how Jerry does. Jerry will hold on to a card. He'll hold on to the 3 of diamonds, knowing everyone else has spades in their hand. He'll say, "Oh, we're gonna win with this 3 of diamonds," So who knows?
I do think
stay the way you are.
I do think you're right about moving on from him if things don't go right. Mainly because of the fact that the guy you were referring to was Jason Garrett in terms of holding on too long and this and that. And we got a taste of how bad Jason Garrett was. But the reason that made Jason Garrett attractive to keeping around in Dallas is because he was Jerry's yes man. I don't view Mike McCarthy as a yes man, even if he's not the right guy for the job. I think McCarthy will stand his ground, and that can be how that divorce plays out. Now, when you say an off year, I want to ask you, in our division, would you suggest that means that the hated Eagles jump Dallas and take the place of a division champion? Do the Giants surprise everybody? And maybe in an off year, you sneak one out like an 8-9 or 9-8 or something?
I think we'll all improve because we've all upgraded. And even with Washington, Wentz is not all that, but Wentz is a pretty good quarterback. He's decent.
My issue with Wentz, it just seems like he's got the most untimely bad games when things are looking up. And, the injury bug, too. He's been injured.
That's his problem.
Some of the injuries were just bad luck. I don't like calling guys injury prone when Jadeveon Clowney throws your head into the dirt. I can't necessarily say that that's injury prone. That's just shitty luck.
That was bad luck, yeah.
Yeah, it sure was. But, new situation for Wentz, too. This division is kind of a mystery because on paper, Philly's supposed to be that team. But do we know if Jalen Hurts has truly evolved yet? That will be revealed. And we're bringing in a big-name receiver like an A.J. Brown, and you're trying to cultivate a young kid like a Devontae Smith. If the quarterback is having issues, that could turn into a negative situation where you got the veteran who's coming off an off year that wants to be that dude, and you got the rookie who's ascending, and you got a quarterback who's trying to figure it out, and then you got Minshew, who's like, wait a minute, I can still play. There's no guarantee that it's all going to be smooth. I will give Philly some credit as much as I hate to do it. Philly has a really good offensive line.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. They have pieces right now, just being fair, that are ahead of our team. And that's our real rival going back to the 30s. Yeah. Even though Dallas and New York is like the more sexy one on primetime, that is our real rival.
The Eagles.
Oh, no question.
I think
down the Jersey Turnpike, they're right down the road from each other, really.
Yeah, right at the road. Yeah, I think the reason I say they'll take a step back, because even last year, we played them pretty tough.
I thought so.
We played them in both games, when Jones got hurt, it was a wrap.
Yeah.
But we still were an injured team. We played them tough. The Eagles played them tough. Washington played them pretty good. And we were all pretty bad teams. So we've all upgraded this shit to where they actually downgraded somewhat. So I see them maxing at 10 wins, man. 10 wins max. It wouldn't be surprised if they win 8 games.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is, and I'm not trying to be a homer and put us somewhere that we're not yet. I'm not going to do that. My prediction for our guys is roughly 7 and 10, maybe 8 and 9. Could be as bad as 6 and 11 or 5 and 12. But the reality with our division is that the best to the worst, the margin is getting smaller. And
very small.
And I'm not saying that, like a couple of years ago in 2020, when we had to depend on the Eagles to win, which they probably would have if they didn't pull Hurts and totally screw us. The point is, we didn't win the division that year because we didn't win enough games, but we should have won the division if they didn't lay down. But when you win a division back then in a 16-game slate, 6 and 10, there's nothing to really do a backflip over, but you always want to get there no matter how bad the East can be. And last one wrapping up, this is also yours. A lot of excitement surrounding this kid, bro. You ride on this, man.
Yeah, Ojulari got the record, but I see
8.5.
I see Thibodeau more of a. He's so fast, man.
Yeah.
God, he's so fast, man. He's so athletic. He's like, man, he's a. And I think he can get. I think he can get 8 sacks, man. If he got more, great. But I think he can get 8, and I think we're gonna need him to get that because our secondary is weak. Basically, we got X-Man back there. We got Junior Love, back there.
We're gonna need a lot out of.
Yeah.
Dory's got to be that dude and live up to the contract because he's opposite of what used to be. He's opposite of what used to be James Bradbury. Bradbury went to the Eagles.
Right.
Now we have like a mixture of different dudes that could potentially take over. Like the kid from UCF would be the logical option, Aaron Robinson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've seen him play at UCF. I think the kid has a lot of potential. But then that brings in your slot guys and your specialist for different kinds of downs. Cordell Flott out of LSU, world of talent, but it remains to be seen if it transcends into the pro game. And you also can't discount Darnay Holmes.
Exactly.
Because he can get his hands in there and for a little guy, be pesky and physical.
He's pesky. Yeah, I'm gonna say he's pesky. Yeah, we're gonna need that pass rush. And with Julian Love, he can play corner or he could play safety. So that's
yeah. I'm an Irish fan. I appreciate his game.
You say who?
I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I've always been a fan of Julian Love's game.
Me too. I'm not a Notre Dame fan, but I like Julian. I can't stand Notre Dame, but I like Julian Love.
Hey, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is.
I think Thibodeau he's going to make an impact. Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence there. You got two big guys who want to push, and you got this one guy on the end with Thibodeau who is fast. He's strong. His first step is like where'd he go? He can get up on you. He can go around you. He reminds me of Davian Clowney with speed.
And before the injuries.
And
he's got a little bit of LeVar Arrington in him. I just hope that he doesn't have the injury bone, the injury bug.
That's what I was thinking about.
Because they did already mention that this kid had a bit of a little hip pointer. He's a defensive player. I'm not going to freak out like if he was a diva receiver, Kenny Galladay. Right. But I think that's our wrap on the NFL. Last thing I want to say about this, I'm going to disagree with you slightly. I'm going to go that he's going to break the rookie record of his teammate, and that's going to have a nice little competitive fire between two new teammates. I'm going to go 10 even for Kayvon Thibodeau. I hope so too, but I mean 8 would still be.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, give me 10.
We're gonna head over to the Diamond. This is big. Yesterday felt like a playoff game. It had that atmosphere of like an American League Championship Series. Justin Verlander was phenomenal. Now, this is a night removed from Presley coming in and giving up 4 runs in the 9th. Yankees had a walk-off in Game 1. Yesterday, it looked like the Yankees were going to do it again. They did not put Presley in there last night. Verlander 7 strong. Luis Severino, great performance. He got in trouble. In the 5th. First and third, nobody out. Struck out the next 3 batters. Unfortunately, one bad pitch in the 6th was his undoing. Big strikeout on Aaron Judge in the 8th, who recently won his arbitration. They're a good team, dude, and we're not going to beat them every time we play them. But I do think this is the year that we finally jumped them, because I feel that what we saw yesterday is the best they have to offer in terms of starting pitching, because there's a big fall off after Verlander. But the fuck Altuve rings, my oh my. But go ahead.
I love it. I call him Just V. He's who he is, man. I mean, if you beat him, great. If you don't, you should have expected that. Verlander's a good guy. I mean, he can pitch. So, but I think we held up good against him, and we had just one bad inning.
And I mean, we had opportunities where guys were in position. You know, great pitchers like him, and right now I would say he's the front runner for the Cy Young.
Yeah.
Nasty Nestor took a couple of steps back with a couple of rough starts. He's still in the mix too. I'm more concerned about guys just being healthy at the right time. I don't give a damn about these awards, even though they're cool.
Right.
But I've said it before. I'll say it again. The Astros are good, and they don't necessarily have to be the type of team that has the best record in order to advance. They're battle tested. They've been through an awful lot over the course of the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And
the manager.
Yeah, man, we got Cole on the bump. Game starts in a little while. And Dusty Baker, to your point, I think the good thing about having Dusty in there is that I think he's cleaning up some of the bad image. Yeah. Dusty's a baseball man.
No nonsense.
Yeah, no matter. Yeah, I like Dusty. No matter who you root for, Dusty Baker is a baseball man and well respected around the league. So I do think he was the perfect guy to lead them into life after the scandal. Mm-hmm. And I hate Altuve, but Altuve's a great player. Point to be made is that this has the same kind of vibes as what we had in the late 90s, early 2000s with Boston. And speaking of Boston, show that shirt out. Yeah, bro.
Garbage, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to show me your shirt too.
Yeah, man. I have been
Come
speaking
on,
on these for a
represent.
while. Yeah, we got
represent every week, man.
Yeah, definitely hit my inbox, viewers, if you're interested in purchasing any of these. Gonna have car magnets coming soon. That I'm just gonna give you guys to kind of just show some support and let them be seen in the streets. Want to make this short and sweet because I hate talking about hockey post Rangers, but they stay alive. I will make one point. It's poetic because the Lightning got screwed in Game 5. There were too many skaters on the ice.
Oh my God!
Friend of the show, Frank brought that to my attention. He's a huge hockey fan, really fun guy to watch a game with. But he brought it to my attention. Now, my other friend Jeff Elder, who's on the other side, an Avalanche fan, told me that he felt that they too got screwed early on in the game. Point to be made is that a very good NHL referee had a very bad night in Game 5. So I'm happy in a way that Tampa extended it because I want the best team to win. And what I mean by the best team, I'm not saying they're better. I just don't want – I want to see this thing go 7 and give us one of those classic Game 7s because if my team's out of it, I at least want to see that.
Right.
And I am pulling for Colorado because quite frankly, I'm just tired of Tampa. But if Tampa wins, I don't see it as a terrible thing because as a Ranger fan, I could say that we lost to the best team.
Mm-hmm. As long as they ain't the Bruins.
Yeah, for real. Or the Islanders for that matter.
Yeah, or the Islanders, yeah.
I hate them.
Me too.
Veering a little bit off of the sports for a moment, I wanted to give a big shout out to friend of the show, Bergley. She dropped her new single, Nothing Left, and it was presented by our guy Zay at the Fetty Factory. Really awesome video. I think it was telling a really cool story and kind of just really driving into Bergley's talents. Girl could sing her ass off. And proud of them. I think they really did a great job. And you can check that out on any and all streaming platforms. And I also want to give a shout out to the Next Door Strangers. Greetings from Gehenna, available on all streaming platforms as well. Dave and Elliot, dynamic duo, man. They put out a lot of great music. And I definitely want you guys to give that a look. Worth checking out for sure. And I'm sorry to disappoint everyone. I will not be on a skit on this album. We're getting to that time of the show where we're talking about start bench cut. Stephen A. Smith almost had an aneurysm when reacting to the Knicks draft choice. I don't consider Stephen A. real Knicks fan. But having said that, he does have some valid points. By no means am I taking a crap on drafting a player outside of the United States. The trend in the NBA has proven that a lot of guys from overseas are damn good players. But when I consider what the Knicks need and what the Knicks got, and now they might settle on a $100 million contract for not the best point guard, I could go for an hour. I don't want to be negative. But I will say this. The Knicks, under James Dolan, have made some of the most horrific moves, whether it be free agency-wise, overpaying dudes, firing coaches, not giving coaches power, Pat Riley. I did a little digging here, not too deep. I'm a strong Knicks fan that has too many memories. Start bench cut, 3 worst Knicks trades. I got Mark Jackson for Charles Smith, which occurred after the 1992 season. Patrick Ewing for nothing. When I say nothing, we got Vin Baker in a bag of donuts.
Yeah, he was past his prime.
And Carmelo Anthony for too many players. What I mean by that is Melo was an awesome Knick for the time he was there. But Melo, unfortunately, the Knicks panicked because Jay-Z and the Russian billionaire took over the Brooklyn Nets. Different financial contributions. They were the hot thing. And I think the Knicks were so afraid that they were going to steal Carmelo. But yet, you fast forward a few years later, and the Knicks didn't even so much as approach Kevin Durant, your buddy, Kevin Durant. But I don't think either one of us want to claim him. Damn, bro. Yeah, there's a lot of ways. All right, I'm going to give you my take, and I'm going to employ my own rules. Keep it under 90 seconds.
Right.
I am going to bench, believe it or not, Patrick Ewing for nothing. I'm going to cut Patrick Ewing for nothing. And the reason why I'm going to do that is, although it was insulting to us as Knicks fans, Ewing showed that he did not have much left in the tank after he was dealt. There's a famous story that when Don Nelson was at the helm of the Knicks, he had considered trading Patrick Ewing in order to get Shaquille O'Neal. And when Ewing got wind of that, Don Nelson was fired within a few hours. And that started the Jeff Van Gundy era and also a resurgence in Knicks basketball. Because Van Gundy was from the Riley school, whereas Don Nelson was trying to make the Knicks something they weren't. Getting back on topic, Patrick Ewing for nothing, even though it was the worst trade in terms of emotional for the fans, Ewing was over the hill, and I love that man, but he was over the hill at that point. I'm going to go for my bench, Carmelo for too many players. I already said it going in. The Knicks had a lot of young talent that could have blended in very well with Carmelo if they would have been patient and gone the free agency route. I think the Knicks got too much in their thoughts and they traded too many players. And I think it prolonged the Knicks until they got good. And the Knicks didn't do it right. They spent a lot of money on Amare. They spent money on Chandler. They got an aging Jason Kidd. And the peak of it was only for 1 year where they truly had a chance to win a championship. I love Amare Stoudemire, but the Knicks did the same mistake as McDyess. They overplayed a one-way player. I love Amare, great dude, but unfortunately, the Knicks, per usual, got him too late in his career. And for my start for the worst trade in Knicks history, Mark Jackson straight up for Charles Smith. Although Derek Harper was a solid point guard, and then you had Ward, and you had Childs, and you had other guys that contributed at that position, I believe Mark Jackson was the X factor as to why the Knicks never got over the hump against the Bulls. He was a big-bodied point guard that while he didn't have the flashiest game, I feel even from a defensive standpoint, the Knicks sold him short to get what they thought was going to be a perennial 22 and 12 man in Charles Smith. What they failed to realize is that Charles Smith did it on a horrific Clippers team in garbage time. Charles Smith will always be remembered for the 4 missed layups. I'm done. We'll stop crying. Love my Knicks. But man, that's my take on this.
Yeah.
What you got, Idris?
I guess I'll start my crying. I'm going to cut Ewing for some of the reasons that you said. He was shot.
Yeah.
When he went
too many injuries.
Was it Toronto or Seattle? I think it went to Toronto. I think it was.
He went to Seattle.
Yeah, he didn't. Seattle. Okay. He was gone, and I was a little upset because of the playoff stuff where he could have just dunked it rather than try to lay it up. I never got over that.
A lot of people didn't.
I'm gonna bench the Carmelo trade because we were building something. We had Jeremy Lin was coming about, and
Landry Fields.
We had J.R. Smith. We had Iman Shumpert. Oh my,
Danilo Gallinari.
We had a good coach too.
Yes, we did.
Good defensive coach, and
yes, we did.
Yeah, we went and got all these knuckleheads that I ain't gonna call knuckleheads. They were good players, but they were not. They're not what they were tough, but
they sacrificed too much
Too much.
To get notoriety of having a face of the franchise. And what happened was by dealing out all that talent, then Melo was putting up those great 40-point nights. But the problem was then you had to wait to free agency. So basically you traded away guys that were not killing your books to go all in on a bad combination. Because at the end of the day, I love Carmelo Anthony. I loved him at the Qs. But the truth of the matter is that his 2 best years in the NBA were when he had a viable point guard. It was when Chauncey was in Denver. That's the furthest Melo ever got in his career, when he lost to the Lakers in the Western Finals. And you fast forward to his New York time where he caught that shoulder injury against Indy. That was a tough one to swallow because most Knicks fans, myself included, really do believe that particular Knicks team was the team that was going to knock out Miami's Big Three. We played them so well that year. But Jason Kidd was the X factor. I love Melo.
One of our best years.
One of the purest scorers in the league. Unfortunately, Melo never evolved as the defender that he could have been, and that's what separates him from his draft classmates in Dwayne Wade and LeBron James.
And with the Smith-Jackson trade, of course, I'm starting that. Mark Jackson was a strong point guard.
Yeah, dude.
He would just back point guards down.
I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, he could dish. He could, he's a decent shooter. Those LA Clipper teams back then with Charles Smith, that's why they got the name. That's why they got the reputation they are. They were bad. They were piss poor. I never cared for Charles Smith. I think he played at Pittsburgh. I never thought he was all that.
I think so, yes.
He had Jerome Lane up there in Pittsburgh, and I think he was just enough. Don't talk about those missed layups. Oh man, I quit. If I lost this round, I'll take the loss because I can't go though.
Truth be told, there's no winning or losing here because there's no judge. I just would like to have our viewers chime in, let us know what they think about this debauchery called the New York Knicks history book. Yeah, I'm with you.
We're like the Cleveland Browns when it comes to basketball, man.
And I want to say something about Charles Smith also, and that whole train of thought. The Atlanta Hawks didn't learn anything from the bad trade the Knicks made it in '92, because in '94 they went to that same shitty Clippers team and decided to trade Dominique Wilkins for Danny fucking Manning.
For Danny, right.
Bro, after all the sacrifices Dominique made for that organization, you're going to deal him in a year where you have the best record in the Eastern Conference. And we know how that went. Atlanta got knocked out by Indy, and then the Knicks beat Indy. That was the year we lost to the Rockets in the classic 7-game series.
In the final. Right.
Unreal, dude, that they did Neek like that after all the years of obscurity.
He was the face. He's the face of the Hawks.
That was so terrible.
The face of the Hawks.
That was so
face
bad.
Of the Hawks. And Manning was past his prime.
Yeah.
That was it. Manning was yeah.
Something that I wanted to hit on before we get out of here. And it's a feel-good story. Pac-Man Jones.
Yeah.
He adopted his late friend Chris Henry's children. Chris Henry Jr. is a future NFL player more than likely. He looks just like his dad.
Looks just like his father.
For those of you who don't know, Chris Henry was killed during an argument with his partner. Mm-hmm. He made a really awful decision of jumping on a truck. People do things when they're in their emotions. It was tragic. It was unfortunate. He was trying to turn his life around. And I think the beauty of this story is that Pac-Man Jones has a very murky past in terms of poor decisions, taking too long to grow up, not necessarily knowing when it was time to leave the streets. But one thing that I applaud about Pac-Man Jones in this situation is that it proves that brotherhood is eternal and that it's never too late for somebody to take that turn and improve their life and to actually end up being a role model and the best version of themselves. So I want to give a shout out to Pac-Man Jones. I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's really showing homage to what he felt about his friend. And, it just goes to show that sometimes in life you don't necessarily essentially you can pick your family in that regard. I think it's awesome.
Okay.
I think it's awesome. I really do. I think it's awesome. I like to see people improve over time, and I do wholeheartedly believe that Pac-Man Jones has taken a better turn in his life after finally growing up. Especially us men in general, we take a little longer sometimes.
Yeah, I was living in Charlotte when Chris Henry died, and I was like, when I heard it, I was like, what?
Yeah, it was sad, man.
It shocked me. I was like, damn. And this kid was trying to get his act together because that Cincinnati team, they had a lot of heads on there, doing a lot of stuff. Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, had T.J. Houshmandzadeh, but they were a good team. And
Carson Palmer throwing that ball to everybody. Carson Palmer. That knee injury in the Pittsburgh game changed his career. Yeah. That team was special that year. That 05 Bengal team was special.
Yeah. And he was really trying to change his life, and that happened. And for Pac-Man Jones to do what he's doing, that's some good shit.
And I'll be honest, man. I'll be honest. Pac-Man Jones for years was always a source of inside jokes amongst me and our co-host Brett, as a guy who just would never grow up and would never get it. But when I see him turning the corner and doing something unselfish like this, it shows me from a distance that this man has indeed grown up. And, I wish this kid nothing but the best. I would love to see him finish the dreams that his father, unfortunately, never was able to manifest. And it's a good story. And in a world where you got so much ugly shit constantly going on, and even with this stuff that happened yesterday, I was like, am I going to really talk about it? Maybe I am. I just want to make this short and sweet. No, I am not a woman. No, I don't have woman parts. But one thing I do know is that no one should be able to tell a woman what to do with their body. That's it. 100%. That's it. They try to wrap too much stuff always about religion. Religion has been the cause of so many wars, so much ignorance. Yeah. That's all I got, man. It is egregious, for lack of a better word, that in the year 2022, with some of the other things that we've touched on our shows, now this, let me just leave it here because I'm gonna wild out. He's Idris.
I agree.
I'm Richie. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hit me up on my inbox about the t-shirts. In the near future, I'm going to be getting a store going, make it a little easier for everybody to get the merch. Pleasure doing the show with you, Idris. As always, had fun today. And we are out.